Today in class, we're going to cover the 9.ATOD.1.4 content. First, we're going to go over the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you two websites that goes into more detail about IV drug use. So going over the PowerPoint first, IV stands for intravenous drug use and bloodborne diseases. So it's commonly known as IV drugs. So the objectives, of course, through intravenous drug use and explain the intravenous drug use and the possible risk, review common bloodborne diseases and possible complications, list ways to reduce risk associated with intravenous drug use. So what is intravenous drug use? IV drug use. It is when you inject a substance into a vein using a needle and a syringe. So it's basically just putting that needle, putting a shot of substance into your veins. So the problem with IV drugs are the potential exposure to bloodborne pathogens, because typically with drug use, people are sharing needles because they don't care about the sanitation. They don't care about other diseases from other people. They just want to get high. So, and of course, the problem with these of shared needles, it includes drugs like cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and steroids. What is a bloodborne disease? Of course, they are microorganisms found in human bloods that are pathogenic. So they're going to cause disease in humans, in the human race. So these pathogens can include hepatitis B virus, which is HBV, hepatitis C, which is known as HBC, and then the human immunodeficiency virus, which is known as HIV, which HIV will end up going into AIDS. So what do these diseases do? HIV, HBV, and HBC are viruses that can be transmitted through different modes, including IV drug use, and here are some of the following effects on each one of these. So the hepatitis B virus, here are short-term effects of Hep B. Short-term would be loss of appetite, malaise, is feeling ill of health, fatigue, feeling tired all the time, nausea and vomiting, abdomen pain, dark urine, and even jaundice, which is the yellowing of the eyes and the skin. So long-term of Hep B would be infection, cirrhosis of the liver, which is the scarring of the liver, and it's going to eventually cause death, liver cancer, liver failure, and then, of course, eventually death. Hep C, you're going to see is the exact same short-term and long-term effects. And then we're going to move on to HIV, which, of course, the occurrence or the things that could happen with HIV would, of course, be rapid weight loss, dry cough, reoccurring fever or profuse night sweats, profound and unexplained fatigue, swollen lymph glands in the armpits, groins, and neck, diarrhea that could last for more than a week, white spots or unusual blemishes on your tongue, mouth, or in the throat, pneumonia, of course, red, brown, pink, or purplish blotches under the skin or inside the nose, mouth, and eyelids, of course, memory loss, depression, and other neurological disorders, and then eventually death, especially if it's not treated with proper medication. So what can you do to avoid all these diseases? Of course, simply don't use injection drugs except when they are prescribed in a medication and when they are prescribed to you, and only using those needles once. So like I said, some IV drugs, like I said, when people have to inject themselves with insulin, that is an approved medical need, and it is safe to do. You're not putting yourself at risk because only you are using those needles. Like when I was a child or younger than you guys, I had to have allergy shots. So of course I was going to the doctor every week, and then every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then once a month to get an allergy shot. So of course, technically that would be an IV drug. That would be a approved medication and prescribed medication from a doctor. And of course, don't share needles, syringes, or works. Of course, educate yourselves about the risk of associated intravenous drugs, and of course, become an advocate for others in your community. So that is the PowerPoint slide. Like I said, it wasn't very long, but I just want to show you two other web pages on IV drugs for you to review on your own. So this gives you some more facts about HIV and AIDS. It takes you about STDs, tuberculosis, things that hepatitis, all the types of hepatitis, because there is hepatitis A, B, and C. And then these are all, like I said, infections that are very popular for somebody that injects themselves with drugs, basically, and not using them as prescribed by a doctor. And then the other risk for IV drugs is another website. It's just drug abuse, the dangers of it. So you can read through this as well in your own time.